this is always a touchy subject. Bear with us. First, I'm going to say, before I'm gonna cover me and my sister real quick. First off, this is in no way, shape, or form us trying to demonize a group of people. However, when I see an apple tree, I know that because there's apples on it. Let that be what it will. You know what I'm saying? That's not to say, again, it's not to say that a group of people are evil. It's just that people can be evil and governments can be ran by evil people. It's not genealogy or religious exclusive. When it comes to the conflict, and I say conflict very loosely, but we got to also recognize and acknowledge, like, this isn't like this isn't a conflict like one side did something wrong and then now there's a government that's raining down terror on them. Essentially, this is an abuse of power. This is a group of people. I'm really just learning a lot of like the reign of Israel in the last 4 years or so. So there's a lot of stuff that like I'm still educating myself on, and that's why I don't really talk about these things publicly. I just want to be responsible with the stuff that I do know and don't know. But I know my lovely Nubian sister Lee got some knowledge on the stuff. What do you understand to know about Israel and the people that are running it? And then as well, why is this? I know why it is, but why is this a concern of the church when it comes to what Israel is doing? And a lot of times, when there's apologetics or sympathizing that's being done, it's being done in the name of Jesus. Could you explain that?
Yes. So first, I want to say that biblical Israel, the biblical Hebrew Israelites, are vastly different from the people who are occupying the land of Israel today. Let's just start there, right? The nation state of Israel was formed in 1949, 46, 47, 1940s, late 1940s. And because they were formed, because after World War II, there was a group of European Jews, not biblical Hebrews, okay? European Jews that had nowhere to go, could not stay in Germany. Britain didn't want them. So what the U.S. did was establish them in the Middle East and gave them land, basically pushed out the people that were there and said, hey, this is y'all's now. And they ran with it, right? So there has been conflicts on the land over and over and over and over again. Bibi Netanyahu specifically is, how can I say this?
Now, who is that? Just for clarification purposes.
He is the current prime minister of Israel. Okay. He is the one that is currently exercising a genocide on the Palestinian people. Not only has he wanted this for several years, this was obviously planned, right? And like, even when you were starting to talk, you're nicer than I am, because I don't care. I think anybody who's dumb enough to think that a critique of a state, of a government, is equal to the critique of a group of people is insane. I don't get offended.
I wasn't saying that. I'm
not saying that you are, but there are people that are like this.
There's a lot of people that I heard this quote: any organization, ideology, institution, or country that requires you to love it without any room for legitimate critique is a cult. Continue.
You just said it. you literally just said it. So the fact that that's an argument is ridiculous. Number two, when the whole premise is just to call everybody anti-Semites is crazy, because the biggest anti-Semite would be Benjamin Netanyahu, considering the Palestinian people are also Semitic people. This Zionist movement has infiltrated the American church in a way where they have sold this ideology that to be in support of the government of Israel is to be in support of God somehow. The conflation is insane.
We see that even when it comes to MAGA. Like, a lot of times, like, people equate, making America great again is doing God's work. So it's not that foreign. I mean, the KKK were Christians. Like,
so to speak. I don't think you can call somebody a Christian that doesn't live like Christ. I
I'm
don't know.
just saying.
I don't see Christ um looking down on Gentiles and telling them they're less than. So I don't know. But going back to BB, who is an atheist, who was born and raised an atheist, who is still an atheist, to say that he is somehow the leader of God's people is insane. That's number one. Number two is these aren't God's people. Let's just start there. These are not the people who are in the Bible. These are not Hebrew Israelites. These are Turkish, Ashkenazi, European Jews who went there and settled there and have been there since 1946. So it's insane, like, that people are still, kind of parroting this narrative and still going on with this ideal as if this has something to do with faith and spirituality. It doesn't. He is a homicidal maniac, in my opinion, because there's no way that you can shoot people who are trying to get food and then just tell me everybody's Hamas. There's no way that Israel is the size of New Jersey. And you're telling me that Benjamin Netanyahu had no idea October 7th was about to happen, even though there's recorded messages from Egypt telling them.
Wait, you said that Israel's the size of New Jersey? Like, no cap?
Yes.
Why is that? I'm only asking for context. Is my favorite color. Why is that information, like, when I say relevant, not to say like what you're saying isn't important. Why is that information that is inseminated into this conversation, why is that necessary to be told?
Because it is not some massive landmass, right? So we're talking about, because a lot of the pro-Israel argument is like October 7th, okay, whatever. But there's not, Israel is not that big. Benjamin Netanyahu is being prosecuted right now for his involvement in October 7th. That he, through Turkish means and other ways, gave money to Hamas to be able to enact October 7th. So false flag and genocide. That was the plan the whole time. Now they're talking about, we're annexing the West Bank. We had Trump talking about, a Trump hotel would be nice on the Gaza Strip. You guys are all colonizers. What are we talking about, guys? I don't know. It doesn't, what? And you're trying to tell me that you're doing mental gymnastics to make this something about God? And some spiritual land or something. It has nothing to do with that. These people are European Jews. They have no connection biologically to the land of Israel. Most of them are Turkish. What are we talking about, guys? My problem with Israel is not, I definitely have a problem with what they're doing in Gaza, but my problem more so is their influence on American politics, on American leaders, and on the church, the American church. And doing this whole like, it is all, I think it veers on demonic, because that's what Satan does, the deceiver. He deceives. And you're telling me that these people are God's people, that these people are Hebrews, that they're biblical Israel, when there's historical facts to prove that's not accurate. There's a man called Abram Pollock who wrote a book about this. There's also people who and he is an Ashkenazi Jew, and he was basically just trying to figure out his connection to the Holy Land of Israel. And what he found is that he has no connection to the Holy Land of Israel because he is a European. What are we talking about, guys? Like, stop. It's actually getting to the point of ridiculousness. And yeah, I think the problem for me is Israel's influence on American politics. And we see that with the intersection between him and Epstein, and the last prime minister.
You said him. You said him and Epstein. Who's him that you're speaking of?
Bibi Netanyahu.
Okay.
the current prime minister of Israel, also the former prime minister of Israel. I can't think of his name right now, but and then we have, and I think this is what's beautiful about what's going on right now is that we had Trump who ran on like non-interventionist, like I'm trying to be the let's make a deal guy. I don't really want to do the wars, all of the things. And then he gets in here and we see this like 180. I think what's going on here that's blatantly obvious is that a lot of our politicians are being blackmailed by Israel.
Mm.
I also think it's interesting that JFK was trying to force AIPAC, which was called something else, to register as a foreign agent. And then he just ends up dead in the middle of the day. And his brother, who was the one who was doing the correspondence regarding Israel and AIPAC registering as a foreign entity, he ends up dead too. Interesting. And
It's almost like a
then
coincidence, if you will.
almost, and then the person who gets in after him is like the most pro-Israel. So I think that's what's happening, and we're seeing how Israel has influence over our policy. So we don't get DEI. We're against the affirmative action, all of the things, but it, except for the Jews. We get new laws in America, in America, about anti-Semitic laws in America. What are you talking about? what are you talking about? What are we talking about here, guys? And yeah, I think this is, I have never once said Jews, right? It has nothing to do with Jewish people. There are all Jewish people all across the world that have nothing to do with the nation state of Israel that is
Right.
currently committing a genocide in broad daylight and telling us we're all anti-Semitic for noticing, except that the Palestinian people are also Semitic people. So we're anti-Semitic for noticing that they're being genocided, but they're also Semitic. So then what? It's like it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, and I frankly am angry at how many of our public servants, our politicians, are in bed with the foreign country.
We can clearly see there are children being set on fire because of bombs that are being dropped, right? There are there are children, there are parents that are coming to get food, never returning. These are
Hamas.
recorded things. And it's like, and even if, right? Let's just say, please, because I do know, like for instance, my pastor's Palestinian. Let's just say for 1 minute that these people are exactly Hamas and you're just trying to get rid of the issue. Isn't there some type of international law about like the dignity that we are to treat people that are, am I tripping, Lee? There's some type of international law
No,
that we're so
there is, but guess who are the only two people that refused to sign it? America and Israel. And this is what I'm talking about when it's just like, okay, what's going on here, guys? Everybody's Hamas. There was tunnels all over. Where did it get the money to build these tunnels? What are you talking about? And then the explanation being, first the explanation was October 7th, October 7th, October 7th. Okay. Now the explanation is Hamas. Then it was Hamas. Hamas. It's just everybody's Hamas. The babies, everybody's Hamas. So we have to kill them all. And it's just like, you're insane, especially considering that we were all against the genocide because of what happened in World War II.
Also, there was a lot of like civil rights activists, Angela Davis, Malcolm X, even people like what's old boy's name? Dr. Mark Lamont Hill. He sometimes contributes to the Joe Budden podcast. Like it's funny, like I'll be watching TV shows, Lee. I watched this show called The Good Wife that's being based out of Illinois. And this show came out in like 2008, 2009. And I was like, oh, they mentioned like Palestine and Israel this episode. It's happening in 2008 and 2009. It just was not hitting my echo chamber until 4 years ago. But then the more you hear, there's even still propaganda that takes place in this show that came out almost 20 years ago. So then it's like, okay, so what is so bad about this stuff? So of course I'm going to go do research because research over me search. And I come to find out is, oh, they're just like us. They're just like us. Like talking about Israel. They're just like us.
They're colonizers.
They're
They're
colonizers.
whole
Like that's
ass colonizers. There was this TikTok I watched yesterday, day before, where it was like, if I converted to Judaism right now, I could go to Israel. They'll sponsor me. They'll give me they'll give me thousands of dollars. They'll do all these things. They'll pay for my hair care. They'll do all these things. So if me just converting as an American citizen, just converting to Judaism, I have more rights than a Palestinian who's been there, whose families have been there, who got the keys to their family's house, can't get in. So it's insane. I am at the point where it's just like, if you are still on the side of Israel and what they are doing and what they have done, you're not paying attention, you're dumb, and I can't talk to you. I don't know, because there's no explanation for it at this point when all of your points have been debunked. These are not God's people. Debunked. There weren't tunnels all across Gaza. Debunked. But what our media is telling us is that he's the second coming of Christ. he can do no wrong. He's just trying to defend
isn't
himself.
he an atheist? Or wasn't he like born an atheist? That's what I learned that from you today. I learned that from you today.
Yes. He grew up in a secular family. Yes. Yes. And he's going to prison. And isn't it interesting that there's a documentary out about him that have been stripped out from all of the streaming platforms? And that the Israeli media is reporting on how he's going to prison when this is all over, because he's not only committed war crimes, he's in connection with October 7, which can be considered treason. He's going to prison, guys. He's prolonging this war to keep him out of jail.
This is something that I wrote in actually I wrote this in October 16th, 2021. I said, let's observe how this unfolds. The present day nation of Israel differs significantly from the biblical Israel. It's a colony established by Zionists aspiring to create a Jewish homeland in Palestine. Advocating for the loss of Palestinian lives and the confiscation of their land for this purpose goes against their values and international law. Any resistance from Palestinians stem from the prolonged illegitimate Israeli occupation spanning over 75 years. I unequivocally condemn any form of harm to innocent individuals. I've been raised with enough wisdom not to fault the creation for the trauma inflicted by its creator.
And Hamas is not the central government of the Palestinian people.
Right.
So we're just going to burn down. We're just going to bomb their whole city, their whole town, their whole land, because this terrorist group attacked us. What? That's like, if I live in Philly, so I go to Jersey and I bomb Jersey, and now you have to just bomb all of Philly.
Well, we saw that happen when it came to what was it, Pearl Harbor, if I'm not mistaken. Like there was a nationwide persecution of those of Japanese descent. So it's not very uncommon that stuff like this is taking place not only in the human existence, but just also when it comes to people that America, whoever she decides to align herself with. Again, like not trying to deviate and to contradict our point earlier that we can't ask for Caesar to be like us when it came to those that are disciples of Christ. However, this shows what happens when there's a bastardization of the gospel, when you completely gloss over facts like Titus and Timothy were Paul's spiritual sons. They were indeed Gentiles. The fact that God instructed a centurion Roman Gentile like Cornelius, I think his name was, if I'm not mistaken. Cornelius he had to go and receive the gospel from Peter. Peter was a Gentile, but he wasn't a Roman Gentile. And if that didn't show you anything, it was God trying to show you that my gospel is not to be boxed in for anybody. And we see what happens when it comes to examples like Israel, like even our own country that we live in, where the gospel is being misrepresented at the end of the day.
And not only that, but the veil has been broken. There's no such thing as God's people. We are all God's people. The veil has been broken, guys. Jew and Gentile.
Facts.
So why do they get some like
Well,
coddled.
well, we're all. I'll put it this way: we're all God's children in the sense, like he wants to have a relationship with us. Our heavenly Father wants to have a relationship with us. There is a difference between those that choose to acknowledge Jesus as their Lord and Savior. However, Jesus literally was crucified for everybody. Point blank. Period.
Exactly.
Point
And I
blank. Period.
think there's a difference
Not to
between
disagree with you. Not to disagree with you, but just to add a further context to that. But yes. Mm-hmm.
yes, because I think what you're saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a difference between being a kingdom citizen and being a child of God. Everybody's a child of God. Everybody's not a kingdom
Right.
citizen.
Facts.
We are the creation. We have a creator, but we also have the gift of free will to choose
Right.
who we are going to serve, who is going to be our master. Is Trump going to be your master, and whoever gets elected in 4 years, that's your master? Or is Christ your master?
You know what's funny? There's actually a Cherokee proverb. I put this in a so I am one of those black men that raps. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Lee. My apologies. But there was this one bar that I put in one of these songs. And I pulled it from a Cherokee proverb, and the Cherokee proverb goes, we have two wolves that are inside of us. You know, one is like wicked and one is good. You know, which one is going to survive? And basically the Cherokee proverb answers itself and it says the one you feed. So what I said was like, there's two wolves inside of us. Which one will you feed, love or greed? There's a lot of times where if you want to relate that when it comes to the Bible, we're going to see these institutions ran by people that were feeding their flesh.